Prince Magnum coming to you from his apartment in Washington. Uh, this video is going to be kind of another trip back in time. Uh, I'm going to go back to a time when, before I made a year of sober. Actually, I'm going to go back to whenever I was coming up on 6 months of sobriety and tell that story. I kind of said in one video that I really wanted to talk about that story. My top stories of AA, I really wanted to talk about a particular story. When I first, when I got into sobriety, a lot of people didn't think that I was really going to get sober. But what was interesting is I went through the steps, and it's not a race. If you're not a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, or a member of Narcotics Anonymous, or any other 12-step program out there, you know that you work the steps to the best of your ability, and you get through them at your own personal rate of speed. Well, for me, I've always been one. I went ahead as fast as I could until I slammed into a wall, which I've never known anybody to slam into a wall on their steps. And for me, going through my steps, it took me 4 months and 1 week to get through all 12 steps, that initial walkthrough. And of course, anybody who's worked the program knows that you never stop working the steps. It's just a continual process. But after I got through my steps, I was about 5 months sober, and I knew that my birthday was coming up, August the 7th. And I was like, wait a minute, I'll have 6 months sober on the same day. February 7th, 2006 is 6 months to the day away from August the 7th. And I was like, oh my God, I'll be celebrating 2 birthdays all on the same day. It was really exciting. And I thought, well, we really need to do something special. And at that time, I was already sponsoring a guy who stayed with me for about a year. He stayed with me and used me as his sponsor for about a year. And he's my one and only one that's ever made it through all 12 steps. But I've got a sponsee right now that's coming close to actually doing that right now. And what was interesting at that time I had a lot of money. I don't have a whole lot of money now. But I was still a cheapskate back then. And and I came to the conclusion I wanted to do something special, wanted to do something exciting. And we all decided, I talked to a few of my friends, and we all came to the conclusion that what we were going to do for that special moment was we were going to go to Six Flags. I tried to talk sober man into going with me, him and his wife and his son, but he wasn't having none of it. He's had a couple strokes, and getting on roller coasters just does not sound so fun to him. But what we did was a bunch of us got I talked to some of my friends. A man who at one time was known as Mercenary. I mentioned him in a video not too long ago. And a gal he was with named Stacy, and her daughter Chelsea, and the guy I was sponsoring, his girlfriend named Jill, and the woman I was with, who later on became the mother of my son, and she used to go by a name that every girlfriend that I had or fiance had, Lady Magnum, and she was the first one to ever hold that title. So we all got together and decided that we were going to go to Six Flags. I went, and I had taken a special day off from work. I was still working in this particular nursing home known as Camelot Nursing Home in Farmington, Missouri. And August the 6th, everything was in place. And but what was interesting is that particular Lady Magnum had asked to keep my Olds Delta that day, my '77 Olds Delta. She wanted to use the car to do some running. I didn't think anything of it, so she had to do some running. No big deal. She jumps in the car, takes off, and I had an electric scooter, and I drove my electric scooter to work, which I didn't live but maybe not even a quarter of a mile, probably more like an eighth mile away from Camelot. And I jumped on my electric scooter, went to work, and was just getting all excited and pumped up about the next day. And unbeknownst to me, uh, you know, the woman who was known as Lady Magnum, her real name is Jess. I won't give her last name, mainly because you know, that would tell people who was filming these if you did enough due diligence. But Jess had actually set up a surprise birthday party for me. So when I got home after 11 o'clock, I was greeted by a surprise birthday party, and she even had baked a cake for me, and it was a Batman symbol, and there was and on it said my, you know, congratulations, my real name, and then it, you know, 27 years old, and 6 months of sobriety. It was really cool to come home to that. And we all stayed up taking pictures, and they even tried to tackle me and give me a birthday whooping. I got away though; they didn't get that birthday whooping in, and you know, that sort of thing. And you know, and we stayed up all night. And for those who don't know, one of my hobbies is singing. So I was singing. There was a, you know, Mercenary and I were sitting around singing songs all night to our girlfriends. And matter of fact, even my sponsee even got in and sang a song to his girlfriend, and it was just a great night. And I don't think any of us got to bed till about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we had to be up early to make it to Six Flags in St. Louis, and it's a long drive from Farmington all the way to St. Louis. It's about a 2 hour long drive, depending on the traffic. But I know some back routes, and it didn't take us too terribly long. I think it only took us an hour and 20 minutes to get up there. So we stayed up until about 3 in the morning. I didn't actually fall asleep till about 4 o'clock in the morning. For the sake of my wife, I will not tell why I didn't make it to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning. But that's not important. We get up in the morning, had a heck of a time waking everybody, but I was wide awake. I got everybody up, and we jumped in the car, and amazingly enough, we fit 7 people in that great big old 4-door Olds Delta, and we went to St. Louis, and we rolled up. First stop, the Batman roller coaster, and we rode that one. We rode that one probably about 3-4 times, and I mean, we just had a great day. And there used to be a restaurant called the Villains Cafe at Six Flags, and it was really funny because there was a particular gentleman cleaning, kind of sweeping up in front of the Villains Cafe, and he's seen us, and he said, "You all ought to stop in the Villains Cafe." They serve the coldest beer in the entire park. And I just started laughing, and I told the gentleman, I said, I'd love to, you know, to try the coldest beer in the park, but I'm a recovering alcoholic as of today. It's been 6 months since my last drink. And he's like, "Oh wow, you were just," you know, he thought that was just the coolest thing. And you know, when I started telling my story of sobriety to him, and we probably stood there for about 10 minutes, and I was talking about it. He's like, "Well, you were just the coolest guy. And no, I really don't want you to go in there now and drink the coldest beer in the park." He said, "But," he said, "you know, I definitely recommend the food in there. The food is absolutely the greatest in the park too." And we went in and we actually ate at the Villains Cafe at Six Flags, which is no longer there. They have a totally different restaurant there now, and downright shame because I really miss the Villains Cafe there. And the day ended. We all went home, and dropped everybody off at their respective places. And the next morning, well, my sponsee and his girlfriend stayed the night with us again. And the next day, we went to the Noon Topic Group meeting in Park Hills, Missouri. And literally, it is at noon. And we went in, and I didn't have it yet, but I got my 6-month coin that day, and that's probably the more interesting part about it. Not just the trip to Six Flags, but this was more interesting than the trip to Six Flags. It's now August the 8th, 2006, and I'm sitting in a meeting of in a new topic group meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in Park Hills, and sober man comes in, and a few minutes before the meeting, he gets my coin, and he sits down beside me, and on the other side of me is Jess, and then my sponsee and his girlfriend, and on the other side of me is sober man. And meeting starts, and they get to the part, does anybody have a sobriety birthday? I raised my hand, and sober, I stood up, announced, I told everybody that I had made 6 months as of, August the 7th, the day before, which was, I believe, a Monday. And I don't remember now. It's been so long ago. It's been, over 8 years ago now. What do you expect? Come on, I drank my memory away. Dang it, I'm lucky to remember this story. And, sober man goes into this monologue about how I'd worked the steps and how he was proud of me and everything. And it was really neat of him. And then he's standing up, and I stand up with him. I had stood up with him. He gave his monologue and everything. And he goes to and he hands me my coin, and we both started tearing up. And we both started crying. And we give each other this great big old hug. And of course, if you've been in an AA meeting, this is not uncommon. Everyone started applauding. And what got interesting was it went around the room, and here I was with 6 months, and I really didn't know how much of an impact I had made, but I heard it that day. A lot of people talked about how I had become an inspiration to them. A lot of people talked about how they found it so inspiring that Sober Man and I had come together in the sponsor-sponsee relationship that we did. I heard a lot of that stuff. A couple old timers were like, "We're gonna have to put you to work now since you've made 6 months," and good old timers. And when it came to me, I talked about how thankful I was of the program, and I thanked everybody for being there for me. I thanked Sober Man for being there for me, and how blessed I was to have the people that I had in my life and things like that. And it was just really, really exciting. It was really exciting, and I'll never forget that story as long as I live. I had a great time, and it seems like every year on my birthday I got to celebrate that 6-month marker, just to not necessarily recapture the old days, but it is kind of nice to add on to that continuing, to kind of make it a tradition. And we've never stopped that tradition. We always try to do a little something every year on my birthday in celebration of that 6-month marker. I really don't think too much of my birthday, mainly because I'm getting older and I don't like thinking about getting older. You should have seen me when I turned 30 years old. I cried. I woke up that morning, oh, I'm 30 years old, and then I just started crying because I realized I was 30 years old. By the way, my mother and I have decided that when I turn 40, we're both going to cry because, then she'll have a son who's 40 years old. And my mother's 18 years older than me. But, it was just a great story. Why am I telling you all this? If you're new to sobriety, go out there and make lasting memories in sobriety. Go out, if you're viewing this video and maybe you've got a couple of days, maybe you got a month, maybe you got 2 months, whatever you got, go out and make lasting memories. Go out and make those lasting memories in sobriety. Go out and have a good time. The Big Book is really insistent. There's a spot on page 132 that talks about we're not a glum lot. If you've not read that, take some time out and read it. I think every new alcoholic should take a look at that particular spot in the Big Book, because I've learned in sobriety it's so important to have fun, because if you're not having fun, if you're not trying to enjoy life, you start thinking about the good old days, and before you know it, you're starting to think about a drink again. So I'm telling you this because I want you to go out there and do something that worked for me, and that was go out and make lasting memories. Go out there and make lasting memories in your sobriety, because you know, I once read on a shirt years ago, I forget the type of shirt it was, but it said, uh, life is sudden death overtime, and the clock is ticking. So I believe that, and if you're an alcoholic, an addict, or you know, whatever the case may be, if you suffer from some sort of addiction, life is in sudden death overtime. We live on borrowed time. So go out there and make lasting memories. And with that being said, my friends, if nobody has told you that they love you, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you.